And good morning. Welcome to A Certain Degree. This is Nick. Wait, I'm Nick. This is To A Certain Degree. That was Bright Eyes with Arc of Time from Digital Ash in a Digital Urn. And so I played that because I have a very special guest today, Shawn. Say hello, Shawn.
Hello, Shawn.
There you go. All right. Mics are working. This is great. So Arc of Time, on purpose, I played that song because, you're one of my oldest friends. We've known each other for, has to be going on 25 years now.
Yeah.
25 years. Met in the stock room at a company that's no longer around.
And they are not around. It has nothing to do with us meeting in the stock room.
It may have. It may have. They didn't do very well. It may have more to do with Best Buy opening because I think that this joint, Media Play, was really put out of business by that one. I think it was a Sam Goody company, right?
Yeah.
So Shawn is here. We're going to talk about a number of different topics, a number of different things. But, one of the things I wanted to talk about was old friends and reconnecting with them. So you and I have had sporadic contact for a number of years because of families and friends and other obligations.
Yeah, bail.
And you were a bail jumper for a while.
Yes.
And that's how we met, actually. I was a bounty hunter and you were a bail jumper.
Right.
It was a stock room because that's where I had hunted you down.
That's where he kept his stock, yeah.
I may be mistaking us for, I always think of myself as Dog the Bounty Hunter. Because I feel like I look like him. Yeah. Let me describe us real quick, because you've actually got the evil Spock goatee going. So usually you look like Kirk and I look like Spock.
Right.
Because I'm swarthy and logical. And you're, passionate and a natural leader, frankly. Yes. Yes. Take a compliment.
Yes, I am a natural leader.
There you go.
Is that okay to say? Can I say I'm a natural leader?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You have my permission to say that. You jerk. And, I think that it pretty much describes our relationship.
Yeah, swarthy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Very swarthy.
Yeah.
Very swarthy. So what do you think of when you think of old friends? Because you've been trying to reconnect too here and there. You went on your trip, your surfing trip not too long ago.
Yeah. 7 years ago, not too long ago.
Not too long ago. Yeah, it seems like just yesterday.
You build some relationships you've had your whole life, and you look back in high school and you have, either a million friends, you have two friends, and then 20, 30 years later, you look like, oh man, you still got these same friends, and they're the same ones bailing you out of trouble and getting you there in the first place. And, you can catch up with them. No time, it's like no time's passed, no matter how long it's been, and you're still making the same stupid jokes at you from 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And, you got hair on your back, no hair on your head. Ha, it's just funny. Ha, ha. But,
I always had both.
It's like you stay friends with people because they've got the most information on you, that you got to keep them close.
Right. Well, it's also, you don't have to catch up with them. Like I feel like making new friends is fine. It's wonderful to make new friends, but it's exhausting at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because, okay, so I have to explain Daytona Beach to you because you were never there. And so now I have to explain that part. But if you have a friend,
it doesn't exist anymore. So there's
right.
That too.
If you have a friend from Daytona Beach, then you don't have to explain that.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Right.
Like, it's this pit of utter despair. How do I explain that to someone? Oh, you've been there. Oh, good. You understand it. Yeah. Oh, you grew up there.
Even better.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, well, then we probably know each other.
We probably met.
Yep.
And actually, we did before we met at the stock room when I was bounty hunting.
That's true.
You came by one of the gift shops I was working at, and we're looking to do some airbrush.
Yep. And you looked at me like I had lobsters coming out my ear, like you were better than me. And I was like,
I don't think it was better than you.
I'm like, man, I could take you behind this place and just kind of school you real quick. You snooty little geek.
I think I get that a lot, where I look at people and they think that I think that I'm better than them, when really I'm just like, wow, you seem really cool. I'm intimidated by you.
It's not so much the look you do, it's when you spit on them that people get that impression.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, I agree. I agree with that. All right, so we've got a big show.
Big show.
A lot of stuff going on. So one of the things you're going to do is explain Van Halen to me. That's your favorite band.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do that a little bit later. I've got you're a successful businessman, and we're going to talk about that later because I'm going to pitch some ideas to you. So you got to help me with my business ideas.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about our kids. So one of the things I'd like to talk about is how do we communicate to them that they've ruined our lives, but in a nice way.
Now we're talking legitimate children, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah. This is not the time, since people might be listening, that you may not want to, I don't know, admit to anything that might be untoward like that, Shawn. People are listening.
Okay. Tell both of them to close their ears.
Right, as always. All right, so let's hear from Menomina. This is Plumage on WPRK, Winter Park, Florida. Yeah. Boy, Sting really likes his clapping. Hey, that was The Police with Born in the 50s from their compilation Message in a Box. Before that, we heard from Menomina with Plumage from their album Moms. And Born in the 50s because I feel that old sometimes. You remember, I'm here with Shawn. I'm Nick, by the way. This is To a Certain Degree. Shawn is here. Hello, Shawn.
Hello, Nick.
So do you remember Father Guido Sarducci?
Yeah. Jerk.
He had a bit about Ronald Reagan's neck, how old it looked. It always looked so much older than him. So what the bit was, the neck was born first, 20 years before and 20 years later, a baby popped out. And that's how I feel about my knees. My knees were born in the 50s, and in the 70s, there I was.
Yeah.
With these 100-year-old knees.
Reagan's neck is actually still running for president as Trump's hair.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Gross.
Hey, man, just calls it as I sees it.
All right. So let me describe Shawn. I did start a poem. It's not really a poem. I basically just took your name, and I was like, how do I describe Shawn? Because we're on the radio.
Right.
So, and I don't know how to describe things. So what I did was I took your name, and then I did a word for every letter. That's
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So Shawn, and it's a SHAWN, right?
Yeah, after 25 years, yes.
No. I'm just saying, because if somebody is thinking SEAN, which I don't think is the right way to spell Shawn,
then they wouldn't get the full effect of who I am.
No offense to everybody.
They'd be like 2 letters short.
The wrong way. Yep. So S is for skills with which the bills will be paid. That should have rhymed. H is for handsy. And by that, I mean you like to work with your hands.
Sure.
A is for amped. You're always kind of the spark plug. You always got a lot of energy. And then I didn't really come up with anything for WNN.
There's really nothing going on there.
Yeah, it's too many. It's too many letters.
Attention deficit. It just.
Oh, that would have been good for W.
Yeah, I have attention deficit disorder for W.
Attention deficit disorder. Hey, so one of the things I wanted to talk about is you do a lot of coaching for developmental leagues for your kids and stuff like that.
Soccer, not just developmental leagues.
Well, yeah, soccer.
I'm just saying that's a different skill set I don't have. Okay. Just developmental.
They develop in soccer, as far as I know.
Yeah.
They kick a ball,
right?
As far as I can tell. So one of the things that keeps coming up is, the younger generation and the issues that the older generation always has with them. So that's always the same, right?
Get off the wall!
Right, exactly. And it's always going to be that way. We're always going to be mad at the younger generation because they are younger than us, basically. They have all the opportunities and they're wasting it playing their video games or...
rock and or roll.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the things I wanted to talk about specifically, there was some controversy around this late last year. There was an NFL player who got mad. His kids were playing youth football, and they got a trophy for participating. He was like, give the trophy back. You don't get a trophy unless you win. And so the thing that comes up around the trophies especially is it's the sense of entitlement. It's the sense of, no matter what, the kid is always going to feel like they succeeded or that they deserve something for just doing their job or just basically being there, showing up.
I take care of my kids.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that because I don't really understand that. I feel like you should recognize it when kids participate. I feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the rest of it happens at the house. It's more along the lines of what's happening beyond coaching and youth sports and things like that. So I wanted to get your perspective on that.
I think a lot of that is a misunderstanding of how some of those things are meant to be used. In a local league here that we do developmental soccer, When we say developmental soccer, we mean just that. We're not being competitive. We're not trying to win state championships. We're trying to teach the kids the game. And that's it. Trying to get them out interested, make the game fun for them, and give them the skills and the maturity they need to move on to a competitive league. Now, in that league, everybody gets a trophy, ice cream, whatever. And the whole idea is to build their ego, which sounds very egocentric, but, to build their confidence, to say, all right, hey, you've worked hard, you've done something good. This type of thing does have rewards with it. At that age, when you're talking 5, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, they're very me-centered. They're not at the point where they're sharing so much yet. To pass the ball to another kid is a huge thing for them. To expect them to actually pass is a big deal. So when you teach those skills, you try to give some reward for it. And, you try to make it fun for them. For a soccer league, I've seen parents ruin it for their kids within the first 5 minutes. They got their kid crying on the field. That kid will never play soccer again because of that one experience, whether they love the game or not. So, what we try to do at that league is just try to build that love of the sport. So when they are ready to move up to a competitive level, 1, they're interested, and 2, they've got the skill set to do it. So, at the end of the season, you give all these kids a trophy. When you're talking a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, that's the greatest thing in the world to them. Just getting a trophy. They just think they've done everything they can, and wow, this is great. And there's no reason to stomp on a kid's confidence at that age. I think if you're doing it, you're that guy. You're that dad on the field that nobody likes and that you don't know. You just think, hey, I know what I'm doing, but you're that guy, and nobody needs that guy. Right.
And I think, to a certain extent, it's maybe it is a little bit of that jealousy when you're looking at the younger generation and you're getting angry. It's like, well, I have a lot of regrets. And now because these people aren't doing it exactly the way I did it, then I'm going to be angry at them. So maybe we should just give trophies a lot more often.
Yeah, everything should have a trophy.
Everything should have a trophy.
I parallel parked earlier today.
You did. There were no cars there.
They gave me one. There's no engraving on it, but I know it was meant for me. I do know that.
The spot or the trophy? Yeah.
So I just want to use my bumper and engrave my name on the other car, just in case.
Well, you kind of did when you tagged it.
Yeah, but I still got a trophy.
Yeah, that's called a ticket.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they told me to come downtown for this big presentation and everything. It was great. All right.
Nice. So what is the league?
It's South Orlando soccer.
Yep. So great league.
Wonderful league. I've coached with them for about 10 seasons, and then prior to that, probably for another 5 seasons, depending on whether my kids or my nephews and stuff were playing.
Right.
So, and they really, when you go, I got certified as a coach in the state, FYSA, Florida Youth Soccer Association. And they really focus a lot on the psychology of the game, not just the skills of the game. Because like I said, you want to keep those kids interested. And, I by far don't think I was a great coach, but I think I kept the kids interested and I think they had fun. And, I think a lot of them, because they were just out there having a good time, move up. They move up to the competitive league. And, I'd like to say I had something to do with that. Not that they were great skilled children at that point, but they had the love of the game. And that was my focus. And that's a lot what the league focuses on.
Yeah,
they really want them to get the skill set, but it's also, well, why are we putting the time in if we're going to make them not enjoy it?
Right. And if I were prone to conspiracy theories, I would also say that, part of all this is to make people more interested in soccer, to take away from, other sports and make us a more international type of country, which I don't believe in.
Well, what they're trying to do really is make soccer take off big outside the United States. I mean, we've kept it so enclosed and close to our chests for so many generations here in the U.S. that it's just not fair to the rest of the world.
Baseball's international, basketball's international. Yeah. Why can't soccer be too?
I know.
You know what we should call it?
What?
football.
That would be crazy.
Outside of the U.S., though.
No. Well, see, we have a football that you use your hands on.
Right.
So it wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we call it soccer. Let's just keep calling it soccer.
All right, let's go with
Okay.
that. Soccer's good.
All right. So let's play a song.
All right.
And then we're going to come back and you're going to explain Van Halen to me.
Okay.
Because I still don't understand it. I'm going to go through the reasons I don't understand it.
I'll
And maybe
just
I
tell
just
you
don't
you're
appreciate
wrong.
it. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So my name is Nick. This is To a Certain Degree. My special guest is Shawn. Can I say your name?
Well,
Your last name?
Yeah.
Shawn Straight.
Straight.
Thank you for being here from Straight Edge Creative.
That's
we'll
me.
talk about that in a little bit as well. So we're going to hear from the Beach Boys right now on WPRK, Winter Park, Florida. And that song ended suddenly. Welcome back to WPRK. My name is Nick. This is To a Certain Degree. If you'd like to learn more about the show, my site is sporadically updated. It's toacertaindegree.com. And you can check it out there. I don't have a Facebook page because I'm not on Facebook because I refuse to do that. I actually just have my friends come in and do the show with me so I can just talk to them then.
Nick
So
definitely has a face for radio.
What's your Facebook update?
Mine?
Yeah, like right now. What would your Facebook update be?
Screw you people. I'm not doing Facebook anymore.
Great. That's Shawn Straight. I like how you towed the line of no swearing here on WPRK.
My bad.
Thank you very much for that. So Shawn's here today for a couple of different reasons. One is I'd always like to ask guests to explain something to me. And Shawn is a big fan of Van Halen and Beans, as we heard from that last song.
Yes.
Which I don't think was Van Halen.
It was.
Oh, it was. That was one of their B-side tracks, I would imagine.
They're being sidetracked, yes.
All right.
That was the sound.
That was a good one. So here's the thing I have about Van Halen. I've owned some of their albums. Definitely have listened to their music. And I think it's a twofold issue. One is I hate 80s music. And I don't think you can put them quite in that genre because I think they play a different style of music, but it's more, arena rock.
Okay.
I would go with if I was going to describe them in one phrase. And the subtlety and the way that Eddie Van Halen plays, I think, is what attracts a lot of people to that band, right? Like he's amazing, and I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm not that nuanced in guitar, so to me, it's just he's playing guitar. Like I don't appreciate it for the art that it is. I think those are the two issues that I have. So, with that, give us a brief history of Van Halen, how you got into it. And, kind of what they mean to you. Because usually, there's usually a pivotal moment for a band that this is my favorite band.
Yeah. Yeah. I
There's
remember
usually
that.
a pivotal moment. So what would start there?
It's when they kicked me out of it and I decided I was still going to listen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very big of you.
Yeah, well, I'm a good guy. After a while you get a little bitter, but you realize that I had absolutely no musical talent and them kicking me out was really the best for the band.
So that was when they really turned the corner.
Yeah.
And this was the 70s.
Yeah.
So you would have been 4.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Apparently I had a lot of things going against me. I didn't really.
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
this 4-year-old doing here?
Yeah. Well, Van Halen's one of those bands. They're basically the greatest thing ever since ever. Like you got your groups like you get the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, Mozart. They're all Van Halen wannabes.
Right. Oasis.
Yeah, every last one.
Coldplay.
They came up in a time earlier, I guess late 70s, and Eddie Van Halen started just experimenting with guitar and just kind of seeing what kind of tones he could get out of it and kind of pushing the limits. He built his own guitars, and he was just kind of an experimenter, and he could get just some really amazing sounds out of it. And then you had David Lee Roth, who was their frontman, who was the right guy at the right time. He had just enough flash and flair and hooting and hollering to really, help put them on the scene. And they did great. They, made some really great music. And then in, I guess it was 86, Sam Hagar came in, replaced David Lee Roth. And man, I remember just being so upset. I was just like, oh, that is so wrong. I mean, it's David Lee Roth. And then,
how can you do that with this? I can't drive 55.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get about 2 songs into the new album, and then you realize, man, David Lee Roth just cannot sing. I mean, he just could not sing. He could dance.
The vocal range of an artichoke.
I tell you, for spandex and a set of chaps, he could pull it off better than anybody. But you just go back and look, and it just, I don't know, 1984, that album is really what kind of just clinched it for me. I think hearing Jump on the radio, and it was just at that time on the, riding the bus to school, and just that song had so much energy and really just kind of, made me realize who they were. Like, I'd heard their songs in the past and not really realize that, oh, that's Van Halen. And then, MTV, you get the videos and you get to really watch them play and stuff like that. And it was really, really impressive. And so that's when I first really started connecting with them. And then, like I said, Sammy Hagar took over, and people call it the Van Hagar years. And, it was, I just thought they did some amazing work at that point. I mean, I loved the band with Dave. It was great. It was high energy. There was like a maturity. I think when Sammy Hagar got in there, they were musicians again. Where when David Lee Roth was, it was a performance. It was David Lee Roth was the front man, and it was about him. And as soon as Sammy Hagar got in there, it became more about the band.
Well, and was that partly because, if I understand correctly, Eddie Van Halen wrote all the music, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was some consistency from, like you're saying, when Sammy Hagar come on by track 2, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to work.
Yeah.
And that's because you have the consistency of the actual writer of the song.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, Eddie Van Halen really liked to experiment. And, he was a classical trained pianist, and he and his brother both. And they came from a musical family. They could, play anything, really, is what it came down to. So he liked to experiment in a lot of different things. And with David Lee Roth in the band, there just wasn't that level of stepping outside the box, I guess.
Right.
Because when
he was good at one thing, and that's what they did.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they did. When 1984 came out, Eddie Van Halen started playing keyboards on the albums, which was like a big, here's one of the greatest guitarists in the world now playing on a keyboard. What's up with that? And I think with Sammy in the band, he got to experiment with that a lot more. And then, Sammy also played guitar, could sing, and could support with the rhythm action as well. So, like I said, there was a real growth there, I felt. The biggest pitfall they kept running into, though, is Eddie was just a huge alcoholic. And he just didn't seem to get along with anybody for too long, I think when David Lee Roth left in 85, 86, you could just see his ego was as big as they could get. And you're like, all right, well, that's all Dave. And then they bring in Sammy, and then 96 comes around, to get about a 10-year run on each guy. And Sammy, excuse me, they're saying Sammy doesn't have his work ethic. And you can always kind of tell where they are by the length of Eddie Van Halen's hair. If he's clean, his hair is short. If he's really clean, trying to keep his family together, it's short hair and a goatee. But if he's off the wagon and, just hammering away, long, man, his hair's long, his eyes are bagged, and that's what it was when he left. So, it's just, I think one of those things, I think he's a genius. He's probably a real jerk. Who knows? I hate to admit it, but...
Well, he listened, so now you've absolutely ruined your relationship.
Right, he'll probably never call me again.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get back in the band, too.
Yeah, he's like, oh, man, what about that 4-year-old kid from the 70s?
Remember?
I need a lead singer.
He had that Fisher-Price guitar. It was awesome. So, David Lee Roth's back. I saw him with them, and, it's certainly not their heyday, but I will say it looked like David Lee Roth, aside from not being able to do the Mondo kung fu kicks and stuff, just kind of humbled out a little bit.
Well, we kind of had to.
Realize that his paycheck was dependent on the other guy, not so much himself. So,
yeah.
So, but still make great music. I mean, I love pretty much everything they've done. I can listen to it anytime, anywhere. There's always something.
So we're going to listen to some Van Halen now so I can try to change my mind. But there was one thing I wanted to ask you about. Did Eddie Van Halen at some point, and I have to call him by his full name every time, I guess. Right. At some point, did he used to play with his back to the crowd in order to hide some of his like moves and stuff?
Yeah, when he was when they were first playing clubs and before they were really discovered, and it was Gene Simmons that discovered him. Of course it was. He discovers everybody. But yeah, David Lee Roth used to tell him when he was doing his solos, turn his back to the audience so nobody could see how he was doing it because people were going to start copying him.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, true that. You know, as soon as he started getting big, everybody started copying his style.
If they could, yeah. Yeah, because you had to have some pretty incredible talent in order to do that.
Yeah, and you could imitate the style, but you could just never get the sound. I don't know what it was. He could just get a sound out of a guitar that was amazing. Yep. So.
All right. So what song are we going to hear, and how meaningful is it to you, and why?
All right. Let's start with "Jump," a nice David Lee Roth song. This was, like I said, the first one that really made an impact on me, and they started going with, I just changed my mind.
Okay.
I can do that. I am woman. Hear me roar.
Fair enough.
We're going with Panama, just because Panama's awesome. All right, here we go.
All right, Van Halen with Dreams from 5150, and before that, Van Halen again, but a different iteration with Panama from 1984. Thank you very much, Shawn.
Hey, I think I'll have your job by the end of the day. It doesn't look particularly hard, to tell you the truth.
It's not particularly hard.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I choose my jobs based on how difficult they are. And so, yeah, I basically play music.
Right.
And I wear a hat.
That's all he's wearing, by the way.
That's it. Thanks for that. Good morning. My name is Nick. I'm here with Shawn. Shawn Straight of Straight Edge Creative. Mm-hmm. Also, you wear a lot of hats.
Yeah, my hair has been thinning out for like the last 3-4 years pretty bad, so I'm trying to rotate around.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about one thing real quick. So Van Halen, I think we touched on that. Thank you for sharing that with me and trying to explain Van Halen. So you heard that the last segment. One thing that I think is pretty interesting, speaking of wearing a lot of different hats, is as part of Straight Edge Creative, you obviously do design and logo development, brand stuff, video production, all sorts of things.
Yep.
So one of the things you got into were drones.
Yes.
Which I find fascinating on a number of levels, because as these new technologies come out, nobody knows what to do with them. So the FAA is still trying to figure out drones and commercial use of drones and things like that.
Yeah.
So to do it commercially, can you just explain real quick what you're doing and what you have to do in general to operate a drone?
Yeah, right now, a drone is under the unmanned, what do they call it? Unmanned Aircraft Systems, UAS. And basically, your run-of-the-mill, go to the toy store drone over a certain weight is going to fall under the same category as a top-secret military drone going over to Iraq.
Yeah.
As far as what you need to do in order to fly it, the way law is written now. So basically, if you're not using it for recreational use, meaning it's under a certain weight or whatever, I have to get what's called 333 exemption. And basically what that does is it gives me clearance from the FAA to use the drone in certain situations. For
like emergency situations?
For commercial use.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then in order to actually fly it for commercial use, you have to have an airman's card. So you have to be a certified pilot to fly a drone. Now, keep in mind, if you wanted to fly an ultralight, you don't need a pilot's license. You just need to be 16. But if you want to control a little RC toy,
yeah.
You have to have a pilot's license.
So you didn't want to learn to fly a plane.
No. So
that takes a lot of time and a lot of money.
Right. I leave that to better people with a longer attention span.
Right.
So I started training as a hot air balloon pilot.
So you found, I love this because
which counts.
Yeah. So you went out there, you did the research, you found this is the shortest route from A to B.
Shortest, cheapest. Yep.
Yeah. And so you have actually now flown a hot air balloon.
I have flown a hot air balloon. I have.
In order to fly a drone.
Correct.
That is amazing.
So yeah, I actually get to spend people's honeymoons with them and kind of.
You were doing that before, so I feel like this is a little more genuine.
Now I can get a license to do it. So, oh yeah, people, I'm supposed to be here. Here, have some champagne.
Yeah, here you go.
So yeah, I'm doing that. I've got to get my hours in. I'll get my checkout flight. And if everything times perfectly, right as I finish, they should be changing the law, saying all I need to do is a written test. It'll be great.
Is that where they're going?
They're trying to. They're trying to make it so it's basically, a few hours of training, flight simulator type stuff, because everybody realizes that it's absolutely overkill for this type of thing, but there's just no other way to cover it right now.
I feel like that's going to be your competitive advantage, though. If, I start searching for drone operators in Orlando because I want to shoot some stuff. Well, I work at Rollins College. Maybe I want to do some drone footage at Rollins. I'm going to go with the guy who knows how to fly a hot air balloon.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no two ways about it.
Oh, I mean, anybody can fly an aircraft that they can control.
Yeah. You have zero control.
It takes a special person to just sit there and let life take you where it goes.
How do you even get back?
A car. Yeah, really? You have somebody chase you in a car. I'm not sure it can be considered flying if you have to have someone drive you back. It's like,
I think that's fine.
You kind of just got caught in the wind there, didn't you? Kind of were flying a kite and lost your string.
And so that's how you fly a drone.
Yeah. So actually, on that note, if somebody's flying for you right now, if they don't have their exemption or their pilot's license, they're flying illegally. And as a business owner, you could be held liable for using footage that they shot. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for anybody out there who's looking to hire, your realtors and stuff like that.
I've got to delete some stuff from YouTube.
Yeah, I'll get that right off now.
Click, 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 click. All right. So we've got another hour of this.
That's all right. I'm in a balloon, so that's one more hour down.
So we're doing this live from a balloon.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be amazing. We're going to do that next time.
We should.
My name is Nick. I'm here with Shawn. This is To a Certain Degree. We're going to hear some more music and chat about some other things right after these few words from our sponsors and or non-sponsors on WPRK, Winter Park, Florida. And welcome back. Sometimes I pick albums and songs and bands to listen to just by their band name. And so that was one of them. And I'm glad I did. They're called Trampled by Turtles, which I think is appropriate. Wait So Long is the name of the song from their album Palomino. Good morning. My name is Nick, and I've got a pal of me. No, Shawn is here helping me out this morning. So, Shawn, since we're starting out the 8 o'clock hour, and some people might be tuning in for the first time, they might be turning it off for the first time as well, or the last time maybe even. That's my paranoia getting to me, I think.
I see.
I want them to get to know you a little bit better. I think I know you pretty well. We've known each other for over 20 years. And so we're going to play a game called Gin or Tonic.
Okay.
Because gin is delicious. It's wonderful. It's just the most greatest thing ever. And tonic is disgusting toilet water. So
what if I think gin is disgusting toilet water?
No.
Okay.
That's not how this game is played. So you're going to say gin or tonic to, I'm going to say something and you're going to say gin or tonic.
Okay.
And you can ask questions too, because some of these, you may not know what they are.
I tried to ask a question and you shut me down.
Yeah, no. That's fine. I make the rules.
That's true.
Okay, you ready?
I am ready.
Pool baths. So let's say you're working in the yard, you got to go run some errands, you just jump in the pool and then you go do your errands. That's a pool bath. Yep.
Gin for me, tonic for the next guy.
Or somebody going to the pool. Millennials.
Ooh.
Right? This is a tough one.
Yeah.
All right. Gin or tonic?
I'm going to have to go with Zima.
Okay. Very good. I think that's a good answer. LASIK eye surgery.
Tonic now, gin probably in a couple years.
Okay. MTV when it played music videos.
Gin.
MTV now.
MTV still around?
Yeah.
Tonic.
Okay. Comic book movies.
Are we talking comic book movies from the 80s or from... Oh, they're all gin. Who am I kidding?
Reviewing resumes. Like somebody sends you a resume. Here, can you take it? Yeah, it's awful. That is the worst. Going on a cruise.
To where?
Just going on a cruise. Getting on a cruise ship.
Well, I mean, it depends. Is it one of those cruise ships that goes out and tilts over after about 50 miles? Or is it one of the fun ones? All right, yeah, gin.
Okay. Jerky, any kind of jerky. Turkey.
Gin.
Okay. 80s nostalgia.
It's not nostalgia if it's 80s.
Oh, boy.
Gin.
And theme parks.
Gin right up until the tonic comes up.
Yeah, because it's that kind of thing. All right, thank you for that. I feel like I know you. I pretty much knew all your answers.
Yes.
So the other thing that people should know about you is that you're a business owner, small business owner,
Yep.
successful business owner. And so one of the things I wanted to do here was pitch you some business ideas that I think are really good.
Okay.
And have you help me kind of flesh them out a little bit.
Okay.
Because I like to think of myself as a businessman.
Everybody does.
Yeah, because I don't have any businesses, but I'd like to start some. So one thing I'd like to do, I saw this, I think a Chinese company has started this, is 3D printing of the loved ones you have that have passed away. So little figures.
Little figures.
I mean, I guess they could vary in size. You don't want something actual size.
I think something actual size would be quite the kicker.
I don't think so. But what I'd like, so it's not that. So obviously somebody's doing that already.
Okay.
I don't want to, and the Chinese can do it for way cheaper than I don't even
course.
know what a 3D printer is. I just think it's, something
Fun to
that's
say.
out there. I think all printers are 3D. They come in three dimensions.
You look at them, yeah.
Yeah. But I would like to offer a service to people to come into their home while they're not there or while they're sleeping and move the figures around so that, sometimes it's right next to you as you're sleeping. Sometimes it's in the bathroom, in the shower as you open up and you're about to get in. Sometimes it's in the kitchen cabinet when you go to get your cereal, that sort of thing. But you never know where it's going to be.
I think that's brilliant. I think you should target primarily retirement homes for that. Because the turnover there is not as good as people think it is, and I think that would get people moving a little better.
So it might scare them so much that they...
Right. It's like at a restaurant, a table with people sitting there is not making money. It's that turnover you got to get. So.
Yeah, I like it.
So
I like it. Okay, so good idea.
Yeah,
okay,
of course.
Great. Another idea I've had is homeless vouchers. If you're like me, and I know I am, I don't like giving homeless people money.
Right.
For a number of different reasons. I obviously think a lot of them might be gypsies and put a curse on me. So I don't want to have any kind of interaction at all with them. But what if I could give you or sell you homeless vouchers?
I look homeless?
No. For you to distribute to homeless people that you might see so you don't feel bad.
Gotcha.
And then they redeem them with me for whatever I see fit.
For whatever you see fit. So one... it would be mostly doll eye
gin.
That's fallen in.
It could be.
Depending on their attitude, it might be tonic.
How many vouchers do you have? It would almost be like a ticket booth at Chuck E. Cheese or the skee ball place.
Gotcha.
So you could be like, do you have enough for the Tootsie Rolls?
Yeah, you can have Tootsie Roll. You can have a jumping frog. If you want the vodka, that's going to be 3,000 tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vouchers. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. On a scale of 1 to suck, I think that way sucks.
Okay. All right, good. I like
as a business owner.
As a business owner.
I'm just saying as a
businessman.
As a businessman, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I need to know. And so I've got one more for you, and then we'll play some more music. So sometimes you have a problem with someone. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's your kid.
Sometimes.
Maybe it's someone you work with. So you ever watch I think they're called procedurals, the television shows about the policemen and women, and they're doing the interviews, like they're doing these hardcore interviews in the room, and they're really pressuring the people, and there's the mirror and everything.
Yeah.
So what if you could hire somebody to come in and do those interviews at your home or work for you on your behalf? So they would get off-duty retired police officer come in and really just be brutal in the interview to get the information that you need. So can you think of is there a market for that?
I can't even think of what the heck you're talking about. So yes, there must be a market for it.
I guess I'm trying to think of, when I thought of this, I guess I was trying to figure something out from probably one of my kids.
Yeah.
Whether or not they brush their teeth or they actually needed a shower that night or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel like they were being upfront with me.
Gotcha.
And so, I would bring this person in to scare them.
To shake them down.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Good cop, bad cop. I would be good cop. The bad cop would be bad cop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not so much.
Well, no.
Oh, okay. All right.
Big picture.
I feel I'm shooting. I'm hitting 50% here.
Shooting from the hip. All right, let's see. Shakedown. So, like, who ate the last cookie? I didn't eat the last cookie.
Yeah.
Click. Look into the light.
Yeah.
You know, maybe take some bolt cutters, cut off the pinky.
Okay. What do you think happens at, the police department? That doesn't happen. What is this? The CIA secret Guantanamo Bay thing? We're going to waterboard our kids? That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Let's talk about that off air.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to play some music. Since we talked about Van Halen and Eddie Van Halen, I wanted to play a couple of my favorite guitarists. So we're going to hear from John Scofield here on WPRK. And then later on, Brian May of Queen. We're going to hear from...
Very awesome, underrated guitarist.
Yeah. That's on WPRK, Winter Park, Florida. And that was Queen with Somebody to Love from A Day at the Races. John Scofield before that from his album A Go-Go. That was the title track. That was also featuring Medeski, Martin, and Wood. This is WPRK. This is To a Certain Degree. My name is Nick. I'm here with Shawn Straight of Straight Edge Creative.
Straight Edge Creative, yes, that's right.
Great. That's your commercial.
Thank you.
Let's come up with a tagline. Straight Edge Creative.
We're straight.
Sure. Oh, I like mine better.
You always like yours better.
Yeah, it seems to be a thing for me.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
I hope so. So
6
we've
pounds.
had a lot of people pass away the last few months.
I have nothing to do with that.
No. I know you were not supplying Prince with anything.
No.
There's obviously Muhammad Ali, very influential figure, Prince and David Bowie in the music world. I'm trying to feel more about this than I do because I love Prince. His older music, not so much recently. So I really haven't purchased an album of his in probably 20 years.
Nobody ever actually purchases his albums. They just said how great they were.
Right. See, that's the thing. You get kind of this...
Yeah, Prince was a great writer.
Oh my gosh, we've lost so much.
Didn't he do Bat Dance?
Okay, well, you didn't have to bring that up. And I'll read about Muhammad Ali. I love the idea of what he did, sort of protesting the war and choosing to go to jail instead of doing something that he felt like, wasn't appropriate. And, some of the stuff that he said and what he meant. Wait a minute.
A Muslim that didn't want to go to war?
Yeah.
Nobody pays attention to that.
Right.
Jeez.
Right. So that's a very big deal. And I get all that, but I just can't get that amped up about people passing away. I'm like, okay, well, it's great. Let's celebrate them and let's move on instead of let's go into this mourning period. And really, in some cases, you can't say much bad about those three guys, right? But lionize them to a certain extent as well. Like they were just amazing. It's like, well, Prince had some stuff that wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And obviously he was doing some drugs or something at the end.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it wasn't just at the end either.
Oh, it maybe been through the whole thing. I don't know. I just can't get behind that. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I think, it's easy to look at these people for the greatness they had, but not acknowledge the demons that they carried as well. Because when you do that, you humanize them. Right.
And when they die, you can't.
Right. You look at a guy, I remember yesterday somebody had said something about Muhammad Ali. Well, was he the greatest fighter ever? Well, that's up for debate. Well, realistically, no, he wasn't. But the presentation he gave, the persona he had, he was probably the greatest fighter in that respect. It's that whole Apollo Creed. Well, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter. What the hell does that mean? It's like, well, with Muhammad Ali, you kind of get it. He was this whole big package who could fight, yeah. But, it was more what he symbolized than what he actually was.
Right.
And same thing with someone like David Bowie or Prince in particular, where Prince, people didn't realize, well, he probably wrote half the songs on the radio, and what he actually performed was such a small percentage. of what was actually out there. And people say, oh, I don't really like his music. It's like, well, I bet you do, but you don't even know it.
Right.
And he really revitalized and invigorated other people's careers. So when someone of that status dies, you feel like this perfect piece of yourself almost is gone, because then you have to face reality that, yes, this was a real guy. He wasn't bigger than life. He was fallible. He could die just like the rest of us. And I think that's part of that. I don't know that I mourned when Prince died. It was like all right, great example. When Michael Jackson died, I knew he was never going to make that tour.
Yeah, Michael Jackson's dead?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
1974.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So it was like a Weekend at Bernie's from 1974
yeah.
Okay.
And they just
that makes sense.
Notice the way he moves. There's definitely something unnatural about that.
Right.
And the color, the skin tone. But you see Michael Jackson for the performer he was, and he was a phenomenal performer. But you also look at the other side and say, this guy is not going to last much longer, And when he announced that last tour, I was like, he's never going to make it. I knew he was never going to make that last tour because you figure he's got to pump himself up so full of drugs just to be able to do it.
Right.
And I don't know. I can't say I mourned him. I mean, it was a loss, but at the same time, it's like, well, you kind of knew it was coming too. That was completely off subject, wasn't it?
No, that was great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, that's what I wanted to talk about is really, it's a Monday morning, it's 8:30. Let's talk mortality. Yes. Mortality talk with Nick and Shawn.
You know what would be great is after David Bowie died, somebody made like this 3D print of him and then moved it around to different places in the house.
I have an investment opportunity that I'd like to talk to you about. Yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah. Somebody needs to get on that.
Bad business idea.
That would be.
It was actually a good business idea.
Yeah.
So we'll just have David Bowie show up at your house.
Yeah, he's there now.
For a small charge.
Small charge.
Actually, so that could be the other one. We won't have him show up for a small charge.
Now that's the business. Right?
Do you want to be haunted, I think, is the question.
Correct.
We can haunt you or we can not haunt you. Right. It's like a protection racket.
There you go.
A haunting protection racket.
That's awesome.
I really like this. I really like coming up with new business ideas on the radio, broadcasting them
for everybody to hear.
So
they can agree and say, yeah, that's a great idea.
Somebody's already registered haunting for hire.com.
New Ghostbusters coming out. It's perfect timing.
So let's talk about new Ghostbusters for a second.
Let's talk about new Ghostbusters.
Because they really messed up on the first trailer.
Didn't see it.
Oh, really? Okay. So this is what happened. So it's not a continuation of the 80s Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, because those were dudes.
Yeah, and it's a complete replacement.
Okay.
So they're starting over.
Okay.
With this. So it's a reboot.
Okay.
But what they did in the beginning of the first trailer is they said, 30 years ago, some hero saved us. And then they go right into sort of this new thing. And it's like, wait a minute, is this a continuation? Are they licensing the Ghostbusters name? What is happening? The internet got confused. It became
Wait a minute. The internet got confused.
The internet got confused. And by internet, I mean people who spend a lot of time on the internet.
Gotcha.
And some people who don't spend a lot of time on the internet. Everyone got confused. And a few people that didn't like the idea of the movie coming out in the first place and, it replacing a very seminal movie for them, started going on YouTube and what is it? You can thumbs up, thumbs down.
Sure.
So this is the most disliked video on YouTube in history, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yeah, because they made it a campaign. So they put up, some people programmed some bots to do it. They really tried to get a lot of people doing it. So great. Then the next one came out. It was a little more straightforward. It explained the plot a little bit more, and it, didn't harken back to the 80s movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
And still, you've got this thumbs down thing going, this thumbs down campaign for this movie, which I get. Like, okay, they're rebooting a movie or they're redoing a movie that they shouldn't, a remake that they may not, or they could have made it as another sequel, I guess is what I'm saying. But I think a lot of it is because it's women instead of men.
You are so sexist.
I think that's what it is. I think that's why people are getting really uppity about it. And I find that fascinating. that in this day and age that people would freak out about that?
I'm sorry, was that a question?
Yeah, that was a question. Okay.
Yes.
So, but you have apparently not seen the trailer.
No. But
And
the very concept that there's women pisses me off.
Yes, I could see that.
No. I'm not talking about in the movie.
Just in general.
Just in general.
Just in general.
Makes me very upset. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it's any help in the movie, they're making 80% of what the male Ghostbusters would make.
Oh, cool. So we're only going to get 80% of a movie.
We're getting 80%.
What happened in that last 20 minutes? I don't know.
We'll never know.
I think you got Kristen Wiig, and she's brilliant.
Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
And I guess I don't know the other two. Yeah. One of them is from SNL, and I don't know the other one very well. But look, they're just redoing a movie.
Yeah,
it's a remake.
Yeah,
calm down.
Right.
And I think this goes back to the '80s nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
So Van Halen for you, '80s movies for some people. Let's all calm down on this stuff.
Well, I think one of the biggest things with that, especially movies in the 80s, is you have such great nostalgia about it. You think about these movies. Oh, great movie, man.
Oh, 16 Candles.
One
and
Crazy
Pretty in
Summer.
Pink. Like, yeah.
But when's the last time you actually watched them? When's the last time you tried to sit through 16 Candles? I realized I couldn't sit through it in the 80s. It was so bad, And it's just like everything in the 80s had this formula, and it worked with that, the synthesizer soundtrack and stuff.
Right.
And the idea of trying to remake a movie that only worked in the 80s makes it tough. I think Ghostbusters, who knows? I think it was, again, one of those movies, right time, right place. The effects were cool for what they were, but you could also take them with a grain of salt because of what the movie was.
Because,
now it's less like, oh, that looks so fake. Well, back then it was kind of supposed to look fake,
Right. And I think that's, when you try to sit, or people now, if you were to show your kids some of these movies, they would be 16 Candles or Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or one of those movies might be a little too subtle for them.
Yeah.
Or it was just never that good. We didn't have much variety in the 80s.
Yeah.
So there was the 3 movies that were playing and the 3 channels at home.
Right. And it was, put in some fluorescent, put a keyboard in there, and you got yourself a movie.
Yeah.
And a spring break. It's all the same thing.
A spring break?
Yeah, you got spring break. Thank you for coming on today,
yeah,
Nick. I appreciate you having...
oh, boy.
Shut up.
All right. Let's play a song.
Okay.
I forgot what I put on.
Here, you want me to handle this? I'll handle this.
All right, you got it?
I'll give you Van Halen.
All right, let's go. And that was Pearl Jam. The song is Footsteps. It was actually, I don't know if this ever made it to one of their studio albums. It was off of a UK exclusive CD import. Remember when that was a thing?
Yes.
Like you had to buy stuff.
This was an import from China.
Well, all of them are, but
yes.
They came out with songs that they didn't release here, and you couldn't get them anywhere unless you bought the $18
and
single CD, and it had 2 songs on it.
And I usually had 4 songs. 4 songs
yes.
were the ones that were already released.
Yeah, and then
you get that one that was like an acoustic version of someone else's song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the rarity, the B-side.
Right.
Kids, this is how old people talk.
This is how it is.
This is how it was. Good morning. My name is Nick. I'm here with Shawn. This is To a Certain Degree on WPRK, Winter Park, Florida. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the music and the chat. Oh, and before that, Van Halen, Won't Get Fooled Again.
Yes.
Nice cover of The Who, I think is how you pronounce
The Who.
The Who. And that was from their live album, Right Here, Right Now. So we've talked
it was back then, which is what's funny.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no right here, right now about it.
So Shawn Straight, successful businessman.
Well,
Straight Edge Creative is that the URL? Straight Edge?
SE Creative, Straight Edge Creative, either one works.
Okay. .com?
Yeah.
Or .Vegas?
.sexy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Did you
Straight Edge Creative .sexy.
I think that is not one that you would register.
Take it easy, man.
All right. Not because of that. I just don't think that you
Just
would
stop.
say that.
Just stop.
You
Can't unsay certain things.
All right. Speaking of which,
Okay.
how did we meet?
How did we meet?
Yeah, you brought that up, and I was like, oh, I don't know if that's good radio. And then you called me out on it saying, oh, you don't remember. And I was, no.
I had owned one of the largest franchises of drive-through strip joints on the East Coast.
Uh-huh.
And you were a regular, and we just got to know each other.
Yeah.
It was really great.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, push that out of my mind.
Yep. Now, let's see. We worked for a company called Media Play, which was very similar to, I guess you'd say, a Best Buy.
Yeah, it was music and books and videos.
Yep.
So
music and video games, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So they just didn't do it as well as Best Buy did. But I was an in-house artist. We had all these new album releases, CDs, videos, and I used to do all this artwork for it in-house and whatever, worked in the back with an airbrush and back room, snorting my own
careful here.
Fumes. And you were a stock boy back there.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. And
I love that. I didn't have to deal. So here's the thing. Me back then, 21 years old, right there.
Yeah.
I didn't like talking to people.
You didn't talk to people at all. You asked every girl out that you came across.
No.
But you wouldn't talk to people.
No. I didn't ask them out.
Sure you would.
I distinctly remember not asking them out because if I asked them out, there was some chance of them rejecting me. And I don't think I could deal with that.
That's
so
true.
I may have tried to ask them out in a very circuitous manner. So I was like, would you start thinking about maybe considering the implications of potentially having a coffee here at a time where I might also be there?
Yeah, quite possibly at the same table.
Yeah. So that sounds more like me.
That sounds more like you.
And actually, now that I remember, I did not like you for that reason.
Nick did not like me. Nick was very introverted, and he worked in the back because that's where he was comfortable working.
Yeah. And
it was kind of a group of beatniks that worked back there, and I don't know if I was what you'd consider a stereotypical artist.
You're very outgoing, and at the time, I don't think outgoing. You were tortured.
No, wasn't tortured.
You're now tortured.
I surfed, played sports, did all that stuff, and it was just something I really enjoyed doing.
You were a cheerleader?
I was a cheerleader, so I had that going for me. And Nick just did not like me. And I remember we're back there one day and I'm working, doing my airbrush thing, and he's talking to some other guys and he's, oh yeah, I got this poker game going this weekend. If you guys want to come over, it's just nickels and dimes, just time to get together. We'll get some root beers, And he's going.
Because I didn't drink at the time.
And he didn't drink at the time. And then he gets going and he just kind of sees me sitting there and he goes, oh, well, you're welcome to come if you like. And all right, whatever. I hadn't even met him before. So night comes up. I go to his house. And it was like me and one other guy show up. And I was like, oh.
Sounds about right.
That was pretty much what it was.
That was a lot of people over
it
my
really
house.
Was.
Yeah.
And it was just almost surreal. It was a really, really great night. I am so bad at poker, and I lost nearly 50 cents that night.
Oh, boy.
And it was rough.
Yeah.
But we've been friends ever since, and it's just really funny because you see, I don't know that we would have even talked to each other on any other occasion, just not people you think would have connected, and we've been great friends ever since. I mean, we lived together. He was in my wedding, and he was in 3 of my divorces. In fact, he caused 3 of my divorces.
No, 2.
2. Well, all right, the current one's in process.
Right. Yeah, I haven't caused it yet. It has to happen.
So that's out there for you kids. Don't judge a book by its cover.
So basically, what the takeaway from that, I think the lesson to be learned here is you might accidentally invite somebody because you feel awkward and obligated.
And they may actually show
up. And you may become really good friends with them.
Turns out they might not have had anything worthwhile doing the same night.
Well, great.
Yes.
Great. So that's a thing.
That's a thing.
All right.
There's a spring break.
That's our new phrase. There's a spring break.
That's already been trademarked, by the way.
So there's a springbreak.com.
.sexy.
So let's call it a day.
A day.
All right. Thank you very much, Shawn. Shawn Straight.
Thank you.
Straight Edge Creative. Straight Edge Creative.sexy.
.sexy.
This is, to a certain degree, I'll be back next week. with another guest.
I probably will not be back next week.
No, but yeah, we'll do this all summer. So you
All
can come back.
summer.
Feel free to come back as long as we come up with some more topics
Okay.
that make me look like an introverted cave dweller. Let's play The Walkman. This is appropriately enough, long time ahead of us on WPRK, Winter Park, Florida.